Hello again. Oh, I'm not sure if that's any good. There we go. Hello, welcome to the last Facebook Live of this annual catalogue launch week. Welcome to my normal Friday at 2 o'clock Stampin' Chat Live. I've got so much to show you this afternoon. First of all, I'm just going to make sure that it looks like I'm actually there live, because you can never tell. So let me see. Not yet. Okay, hopefully this will catch up in a minute. Let's try one more time. There we go. I am there. Hooray, hooray. And some of you are there too, which is wonderful. So Marjorie's here. Hello, Marjorie. Thank you very much for joining me again. And I can't see who else is there yet, but I'm sure I will. Maureen's there. Hello, Maureen. Lovely to have you. And Pam. Pam says hello to everybody. Well, I can't believe it's Friday. My time always seems to go quickly. I think it's because I'm busy, but this week has gone so fast. Has your week gone quickly? Is it just me? It seems like 5 minutes ago it was Monday, and it was a bank holiday, and all of a sudden it's Friday, so I've just got no idea where the time goes. Belinda is here. Hi Belinda. She says hello to everybody. And Kay is here. Hello Kay, lovely to have you again. Well, it's an absolutely stunning day here in the New Forest. I don't know what it's like where you live, but the sky is blue. There's some little puffy clouds, but nothing to worry about. All the leaves are coming up on the trees. It's beautiful. The baby birds are starting to come to the bird table. It's a little bit breezy. I think I feel a little bit windswept with my hair today. It looked immaculate first thing, but I've been out to the post office and I got very windswept. But I think tomorrow is not going to be so good. The last time I looked at the forecast, it said the rain was supposed to clear by the end of the afternoon, and I really hope it does, because my husband and I are supposed to be going out to dinner with our daughter. She doesn't live at home anymore, so that involves sitting outside. So I don't mind taking jumpers and coats and gloves and blankets, but I really don't want to be rained on. I don't think that will add to the occasion at all. So yeah, we'll have to see what it's like. We might have to cancel and get a takeaway or something and eat it in the car. I don't know what we'll do. I need to check up on the rules as well, because they keep changing and I absolutely cannot keep up with what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. So fingers crossed. Mary is here. Hello Mary. Maureen's here. Hi Maureen. And Katie's here. So lovely to have you all joining me. And I can see there are some more people, because it's telling me 10 people are watching, but I haven't got 10 names, but that's fine. If you're watching and you're not commenting, I don't mind that either. So normally on a Friday, I ask you to tell me what you've been up to. What are your plans for the weekend? So please do type a comment in. I would love to hear about that. If you can hit that share button, I will be really grateful, because that helps me to get seen by people that might otherwise not see me. And I think quite a few of you have come over here because you've seen it on somebody else's Facebook page. So thank you if you already like and share my page. Please click both those buttons if you can, because that does really help me. Lorraine is here. Hi Lorraine. Marjorie says hello everyone. She hopes that we're all enjoying the sun. I'm sure we are, Marjorie. Is there anybody who doesn't have sun? Because you don't all live very local to me, I know. So that's kind of the things I need to remember to tell you and remind you. Dates and things of reminders for classes and whatnot. So today is the last day to book May's Fancy Fold Cards class. So if you're interested in doing a class where I send you all the bits, plus some links to some exclusive videos where you will learn how to make a template and a finished project for 2 different fancy fold cards, then that's the class for you. I run it every month. It's £15 posted to you, or you can place a £25 order with me and then you get the class for free, but you have to book by today. So get your skates on if you're interested in that. My monthly card class, which currently is being sent out by post with photos and written instructions, no videos, just written instructions and photos for 6 card projects. I'm booking for the June class, and bookings close for that on the 14th, which is a week today, next Friday. And I've been showing you this week lots about the in colours, the new colours that we've got, and the in colour sampler, which includes card, patterned paper, shimmer vellum, ribbon and embellishments in the 5 new colours. You can book for one of those samplers now, and I need to know by the 28th of May if you'd like one of those. What else do I need to remind you about? I've had quite a few emails actually telling me people have got really, really long wish lists. Now they've had a chance to sit down and really look at the new catalogue. I completely sympathise. I have an enormous wish list. So to help you get the absolute most that you can, why not think about joining Stampin' Up? If you've got loads on your wish list, then when you join you get £55 worth free, and you can choose what that is, whatever you like. You pay £99, but you choose £154 worth of lovely goodies from the catalogue, and it can be from either catalogue, from the January to June mini catalogue or from the new annual catalogue that we've just launched. So £55 worth of stuff is quite a lot. There are lots of other benefits to joining Stampin' Up. If you would like to, you can join my monthly meetings where a group of us get together. At the moment it's online. We used to meet in person, and I hope those days will come back soon, and we craft and we chat. I send you out packs for that, so that's something that's only available to people who are part of my team in Stampin' Up. You have a permanent discount on all your purchases. Once you've joined, after that, any order you place is 20% off, and depending on a few other variables, that can rise to 25%, so you don't ever have to pay full price again, which is great. We're a friendly bunch. There are all kinds of activities and groups you can join online, and when we can meet face to face, there are also face-to-face events that we do. It can be really fun crafting with friends, and if you've got a friend or family member who loves crafting, why not both join, and then you can both do it all together. So that's just a few reasons why it's a really good time to join Stampin' Up. It's always a good deal, you always get some free things, but at the moment during May it's a fantastic time. If you don't want to join but you can spend a little bit, then if your order is £150, then I can arrange for that to be shipped to your home, or you can order online and you will get £15 worth of free products with that. It's 10% of the product value of the order, so if it's over £150, it'll be a little bit more than £15. If you can push that to £200, maybe some of your friends would like some things, or your grandchildren or anything like that, gather together all the things that are wanted, so your order hits £200, and as well as the 10% of free things, which would be £20 worth, then Stampin' Up are going to throw in an extra £20 worth from now up until the 14th of June. So that can also tick a few things off your wish list. So I've said all that quite quickly. If you'd like to know a little bit more, just let me know and I can explain it to you more slowly, or you can just ask questions about it. So let me just check the comments. Oh, Marjorie lost the sound, but it's back now. I'm sorry about that, Marjorie. I don't know if that was me wriggling around or not, but hopefully it will hold up. Belinda says, I'm on my second wish list. Please send help. Brilliant. I love that. Pam says, joining Stampin' Up was one of the best things she ever did. We love having you, Pam. We love having the chance to spend extra time with you. Belinda is saying, do consider joining. It's not just the discount, although that's great. I've got so much out of it and become friends with some really lovely people. I think the people you've become friends with will probably echo that, Belinda. It's been such a treat to get to know you. And I'm sure I would never have met you, although you don't live very far away from me. I would never have met you if it wasn't for Stampin' Up. So that's been a treat for me too. Okay, so I'm going to cover you over. It's all going to go blue, and I'm going to turn the camera down to my desk, and I'm going to get on and show you the absolutely beautiful Pansy, and I'm just checking the name, I think it's Pansy Petals. Yes, Pansy Petals Suite. It's stunning. I know some of you have ordered it already. Some of you have played with it already. I haven't done as much with it as I would like. But I think part of that reason is that it is just it's a big set of stamps and dies, and the alternatives for it are absolutely enormous. And I've just dropped the little fluffy thing off the end of my microphone. I wonder if I can find that. Oh yes, I can. Okay, so that was on the floor. I don't know enough about these technical things to know whether that made any difference at all to the sound quality. But anyway, I've retrieved it and I've put it back in place. All right, so I am going to have to fiddle with this a little bit more, I'm sure, once the picture is up. Let's have a look. Not too bad. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that and quit while I'm ahead, I think. Marjorie's saying this is next on her list. I'm not surprised, Marjorie. All right, so I'm on page 28 and 29 in my catalogue if you want to pull that out and have a look. But I'm actually going to show you the actual products, but there are a lot of samples in here. There are some here, and then there are some at the end where they show you the bundles, because the stamps and dies are also bundled, and there's more samples there to have a look at. But there are some beautiful samples here, and I think this suite has really captured people's imagination, because if you are on Pinterest or if you do a search on Facebook, if you search for these, you will find so many examples of projects that people have posted. I think the colour combinations are endless, and there is such coordination between the stamps, the dies and the paper that I just think you could go on and on and on. I mean, I had to stop myself in the end because I decided I did need to go to bed and get some sleep. But I could have just kept going and kept going with projects. All right, so there are stamps and dies, and I'll show you those properly in a minute. There is patterned paper, which I will go through properly. And there are bumblebee trinkets, which are adorable. All right, so it's a photopolymer stamp set. It's a large set with, it tells us on here somewhere how many stamps there are. Perhaps it's just in the catalogue. I thought it said on the box as well, but there are 23 stamps in here. They're photopolymer. I've got them all out on blocks at the moment, so they're the see-through stamps, which means that you can layer them up, and I'm going to show you some stamping with all the different layers in a minute. And there are so many stamps that they couldn't show them on the box full size, so they are shown at 90% of their actual size. So these images are actually going to be larger when you stamp them than it shows here. In the catalogue they are shown at full size, so that gives you an idea of the scale. The stamp set is £23, which I think for such a big stamp set is amazing value. Photopolymer stamps are always a bit more competitive in price than the red rubber ones. They're cheaper to produce and they don't last forever. Red rubber will last pretty much forever as long as you look after it. I haven't yet had any problems with any of my photopolymer stamps. They're lasting for years and years, but you know, it's just a fact that they don't last as long as red rubber. There are images in here to create a large pansy and a small pansy, 2 sizes of leaf, a bud, and then there are a couple of extra options for stems as well. And I really like the words in here. The words are in a font which is a mixture, or 2 fonts I suppose, of script and block capitals. The little things you do make such a big difference. Wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you, which is nice. Thank you, happy birthday. I love it when a set has those 2. Those are the 2 I use the most. A little hello from me to you, and love you much. So those are all the stamps. And then the dies, I pull those out. There are, again, lots and lots and lots of dies, 21 dies. And they essentially cut out a large flower, a small flower, 2 sizes of leaf, and the bud and the stems and so on. So they cut out your stamped images, and then they also cut out the little centre for the pansies here. So this will cut out 3 centres, and I will show you the little stamp with that as well. So you can stamp and die cut. You can just die cut from card, or you can die cut the patterned paper. So when I say there's a lot of coordination between everything, there really is. Now I was going to cut out all the dies and put them on paper for you, but I decided actually I don't think it's going to add anything, because it still looks a little bit confusing till you start to see them used. So instead I've cut some from card, and I'm actually going to build the flowers up a little bit later to show you. So I did stamp out the images just to show you, because they're not so easy to see. With red rubber stamps you've got those labels and you can see the image on the labels, but with photopolymer ones you can't. I can push that up a little bit actually, I think. There we are. So hopefully you can see here that you've got a large flower, some detail and some more detail and some more detail, and then just a little tiny dot. So all those will go together to make up a large pansy. Then the small pansy, you've got the basic flower, some detail and some more detail, and then the little dot. So the large flower has 5 stamps that make it up, the small one has 4. And then there are 2 different leaves which also have some detailing you can add to them. And then the little bud has got this kind of curvy thing here with, are these sepals? I don't really know, I'm not an expert. And then the flower and flower detail. Then you also have this stem and this stem plus the words. So lots and lots of stamps. This stamp I think gets the award for the tiniest stamp ever. You might be able to see it because it's stained pink, because I was using it with blackberry ink. It's really, really teeny tiny. Look after this stamp, because this stamp is going to want to go walkabout. So yes, a very tiny stamp. All right, so I'm going to put these dies back in here. I've popped them onto magnetic sheet because and then I draw around them with a chalk marker, because that way when I glance at my sheet I can see instantly whether all the dies are there or not. I'm going to show you the bumblebees and then I'll show you the patterned paper. So these bumblebees are adorable. They're little tiny gold metal bees. Let me pop one on my mat and hopefully the camera will focus on that. I'll just wait a moment until I can see on my iPad and check whether it has actually focused or not. More or less, not very well. So they are very, very detailed. They've got the stripes on the body, they've got the veins on the wings, they've got all their little legs and antennae. They're beautiful. They measure, let's have a look, 1/2 inch across and not quite 1/2 inch, about 3/8 of an inch long. So wingtip to wingtip is 1/2 inch, and antennae to the end of his abdomen is about 3/8 of an inch. They're flat backed and they fix on really easily with mini glue dots, and they come in a little tub of 20. Now we have been warned that these are already selling far better than anticipated. They're on back order at the moment, although you can still get them, but we have been told that they will probably go out of stock very quickly. So if you know you want bumblebees, order them soon. They will come back in, but it can take a while to get them. I suspect, I don't know if it tells me on here where they're made. I don't think it does. But, oh yes, here we go. Yeah, they're made in China. Anything that comes from China or Thailand or anywhere like that is taking a really, really long time to get to the UK at the moment, unfortunately, or even into Europe. Because of all the issues there are around worldwide shipping. There's a massive shortage of shipping containers, shipping ships, shipping staff, because of the pandemic. So I'm just giving you a heads up, because everybody should have a few bumblebees in their lives. All right, so here's the patterned paper. Now this is double-sided. One side has flowers on it and one side has a pattern on it. So this is an all-over scattering of pansies of many colours with a dark green background. It's in the Evening Evergreen is the background colour. And on the back of this is a pattern in Bumblebee, appropriately enough. This one has the pansy leaves on it, and the pansy dies will cut the leaves out. I think it cuts both sizes of leaf out. If I lay my dies over the top, there's my first leaf. So that will cut out like that. And let me find my other leaf die. I think it's that one. There we go. So that will cut out all the leaves. I haven't counted the leaves on here, but there are lots. And on the other side of that are gingham checks in soft succulent, one of the new colours. A really pretty pattern. Gingham is just perfect. It goes with flowers, it goes with all kinds of things. This is an all over floral pattern. These are not particularly pansies, these are just tiny little flowers in all kinds of colours. But on the back of that is this really pretty fresh freesia gingham pattern. Then this pattern, this is an absolute winner because, again, the dies will cut out the pansies. So that's the large one. And let me see the small pansy, there it is. So you can take a sheet of this paper, of course you get 2 of each sheet in your pack, and you could cut out all the pansies and then you'd have flowers to make loads and loads of projects. So you can cut out all the pansies on this sheet, and then on the back is a spotty pattern with calypso coral and a very pale, I think it's probably pale papaya, the spots. This one, which is kind of all kinds of flowers but includes pansies, it's also got little tiny bees on it, that's very pretty, and a stripe on the back in greens. And then the last sheet is this one, which is similar to the other floral one I just showed you, but it's a larger scale. Again, it's flowers, and I think these are snapdragons and bees. And on the back of that, again, more gingham in pale papaya. So 3 of these sheets have gingham, which I think is perfect. And there are lots of colours on the paper, so I'm going to have to read them because I can't remember them all. Blackberry Bliss, Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, Soft Sea Foam, Soft Succulent and Whisper White. So those are the papers, and they are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. You can do a lot with the papers even if you don't get the stamps and dies, and I'm going to show you some ideas with the paper. I wonder if, no, I'm not going to be able to slot that in quickly, am I? Let's just lay that aside and I will sort that out later. I could see that wasn't going to go back in that plastic wrap very easily. Alright, so the first project that I'm going to make really focuses on the patterned paper. I have used one of the sentiments in the stamp set and stamped on there, but it's primarily showcasing the paper. And I'm going to make one using different paper, so you'll see the same card with 2 different versions. Pam is agreeing with Belinda about joining. That's good to hear, Pam. Somebody else that I wouldn't have met had it not been for Stamping Up, so I'm really, really pleased that I did. Now I have got some measurements for this card. If I can find them. There we go. So this card measurements are here. So it's a standard card base. It's just half a sheet of A4 essentially, and you can trim it to 8 by 5 3/4 if you wish. Score it at 4. I tend to just cut the piece of A4 in half and score it, which is not quite those measurements. But if you want them to be exactly symmetrical with your layers, that's what you need. The card layer is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. The paper with the pansies on is 3 1/2 by 2 1/2. The gingham paper is 3 1/2 by 1 1/2, and then the white at the top, which I've stamped on, is 3 1/2 by 1 inch. All those measurements are inches. And then I'll give you the measurements for the card I'm about to make afterwards, because I've just tweaked those panels of paper just a little bit. So let me move that out. So this time I've got an Evening Evergreen base. I should have told you here, shouldn't I? This base is Blackberry Bliss, and my card layer is Evening Evergreen. So I've switched out the card base for Soft Succulent, but I have stuck with Evening Evergreen as my layer. I've used a different pattern of pansy paper, and then I've switched the layers around because I wanted to use one of the other stamps from the set that was a bit deeper, so I'm going to put that in the middle, and then I've got some of the gingham paper at the top. So I'm going to do my stamping first, and I'm going to bring in a stamping mat because these are photopolymer stamps. And the stamp I'm using is the one that says, "Wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you." I have Blackberry Bliss ink, which is always a little bit risky because I always get covered in Blackberry Bliss. I don't know what it is about this colour. I just always get it all over my hands, and it's one of those colours that it just transfers everywhere. Okay, I'm sorry if my head is in the way. There we are. So it stamps beautifully, the very, very fine lines on this. Marjorie's seriously thinking of rejoining. Well, yes, Marjorie. I know what your wish list is like because you told me. So I honestly think it would really pay you to rejoin. And then there's all those other fun things you'll be able to do again as well. So yes, good plan, I would say. All right, let's move that out of the way. Now I'm just going to glue these in place. On this one I had to wrap my baker's twine around the paper first, obviously, before gluing it down, but I'm going to use a separate bow this time, so I'm not going to have to worry about remembering to do that. Am I the only person that sometimes has to peel their layers off and add the bow or the ribbon round? I hope it's not just me. So using the multi-purpose glue allows me to slide these pieces and make sure that all my borders are even. And I've got an 1/8 of an inch all the way round and in between the pieces as well. And I will give you the measurements for this at the end because, as I say, I've tweaked them very slightly on the previous card. I saw somebody online had done a card using this layout and I really liked it, so I drew it into my sketch book, my book of card sketches. I've talked about that here before, where I just I convert a card that I really like just into its component parts. So this is a rectangular layer and then it's just got 3 rectangles within it, but somehow seeing it as a sketch means that I can then envisage it in lots of other patterns of paper, or these could be panels of embossed card, or I could have stamped all over them, or anything really. So that's that all put together, and now I'm going to add the bow with a glue dot. So this is Fresh Freesia, it's the open weave ribbon, one of the new ribbons. I'm just going to pop that there. That end needs trimming a little bit, I think. Looks a little bit too long. And I think it's got to have a bee on it, hasn't it, really? So let's add a bee. Bees will also be excellent for removing inky fingerprints. If you watched me yesterday, you'll have seen me put a really big fingerprint right across something I was working on, although fortunately I was able to turn the piece of card over and carry on that way. All right, so here's my insert. I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday on this, assuming I can find the Happy Birthday stamp. It's somewhere on my desk. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have to do that afterwards. Oh no, here it is. I've got lots of blocks for running classes and so on, and so I've put each stamp in the set on a block, which means they're easy to grab and use, but it also means that there are ever such a lot of stamps on my table. I'm cleaning these straight away because all photopolymer stamps stain, but Blackberry Bliss ink stains them pink instantly, so I'm just trying to minimize that. You'll never stop a photopolymer stamp from staining, but cleaning it quickly helps. So I have some of the gingham paper here. It's longer than I need, so I'm just going to trim most of that spare off and then just add that to the inside. And then I'm just going to trim that again and pop that in my card, and it's done. So there we are, that is that card, and I'll bring in the other one so you can see they're the same but different. And I must admit, when I'm making cards, this is kind of the way I tend to work. I'll make a card and then I'll plan to make perhaps another one the same, one to keep and one to give, but I'm not very good at doing that. In fact, what I tend to do is to make another one that actually isn't quite the same, but that's quite fun. So really all I've done is I've swapped around these two panels and I've made this center panel a little bit deeper. So the measurements for this one, which I've just made, the card base is the same, the card layer is the same, the pansy paper is the same. But the white piece is 1 3/4 by 3.5 inches, and the gingham paper is 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches. I hope you can read my scrawl, it looks even worse than usual. I'm going to have some tea just while you look at that. There we are. And I'll tuck those measurements inside there and these inside here. So that's my first card for today. Let's put those to one side and bring in a second one. Ooh, lots of rustling off stage as well. Ooh, and I've just thrown all the bits everywhere. Let's hope I've caught them. So this is the card that I made as my sample. So on this one I've die cut some of the paper here, and then I've used the patterned paper, give the gingham pattern, some of the in colour ribbon, and I've pulled the colours from the card from the pansies that I die cut, in this case Blackberry Bliss and Fresh Freesia. So I thought, well, I'll make another one of these, but this time I'll do some different colours. So I've gone with the oranges and apricots, so I'll move that one out of the way. This time I have a Calypso Coral card base. My layer is Pale Papaya. I've stuck with the gingham paper, but I've gone with the green, Soft Succulent. I've got papaya ribbon, which doesn't want to lie flat. Never mind, I'll tie it round and beat it into submission in a minute. And then I've die cut these pansies and a couple of leaves from the paper. So from that point of view, I mean, it really couldn't be easier to get the pieces together. The patterned paper does it all. These aren't actually very complicated shapes, so you could even hand cut these if you don't have the dies. So if you love this, but you can't run to it all, just get the paper. The paper is just so versatile. All right, so let me put this together then. I'll give you the measurements at the end, but they're not very complicated. Thought that paper might be a little bit long, but I don't think it is. This is always the fun bit, just tying a ribbon with all of you watching me. There we are. Don't actually mind if this goes kind of a little bit on the diagonal. There we are. Right, let's trim the ends. I've had to order more of this ribbon. I've used absolutely loads of it. It's so pretty because you've got the colour there, but because it's got this open weave panel in the middle, it's very kind of light and airy. It doesn't take over the projects, and it's really nice to have it in so many colours too. Right, so find my bone folder. So before I put the flowers on, I'm just going to curl these very slightly because I'm going to put them on some dimensionals. And if I curl them, first of all, they just look a little bit nicer, a little bit more lifelike. But also the curved edges, because they're domed this way, will also help to hide those dimensionals underneath. If you look at it from the side, you won't be able to see the dimensionals because the flower and leaves will be curled down. Oh, Carol's here. Hi, Carol. Better late than never, absolutely. Yes, you can catch up. That's never a problem. It's the joys of a Facebook Live, is that it will be there afterwards for you to catch up with. So for you, Carol, what I've done is I've die cut some of the patterned paper, and I'm making a card with those flowers. I actually need to stick this layer down, I think, before I put my flowers on. Let me just pop that there. I'll attach this. Put a glue there. Didn't see that, Carol, did you? Carol is the queen of accurate gluing. You've heard me talk about it before, and if I ever put on too much glue, I always think, what would Carol say? And it wouldn't be approving, I can tell you that. Her projects are beautiful. No glue smudges in sight. There we are, and just a couple of leaves to add. You've all gone very quiet. Are you all concentrating on what I'm doing? Is anybody crafting along? I'm going to put that darker leaf on first, I think. So Carol's agreeing with me about my glue comments, and then she's saying, but she always hears me in her head when she orders something, so we all bring something to the table. That is indeed true, Carol. There we are. And I'm just lifting up the edges of these flowers just to tuck the leaves underneath. Belinda is crafting along too. She says just. Does that mean I'm whizzing along, Belinda? It's easy for me because I've got everything pre-cut. It's different if I'm doing something like a real-time video class, because I'll cut with you then. But I didn't give you any measurements, did I? So if you're crafting along with me, then yes, I should think that's a bit of a trial. Okay, now somewhere on my desk, here we go. I've got some of these gorgeous in colour jewels. I hope my next order comes soon. I've ordered several more packs of this and I'm starting to run out. We could only order one pack of these early, and they are really lovely. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with the pale papaya ones. I do like those. Okay, and the iridescence on them is beautiful. There we are. So that is my card front. So on my insert, I've got a little strip more of the gingham paper to add to the bottom. And I'm also going to stamp it. I'm going to make a thank you card, just because you know by now I always seem to stamp thank you on them, just because I send a lot of thank you cards, so I need a lot of thank you cards. But I did do a birthday card first, didn't I? So that's not so bad. I am actually showing you a bit of a variety. Gillian's here. Hi Gillian, late to the party. That's okay. Don't worry about it. You can always watch the first part on replay afterwards, or indeed click over to YouTube and watch it there, because I'll upload it there once it's finished here, and it'll sit there and be easy to find forever. Right, I'll pop my insert in and then I'll show you the measurements and show you the two cards together. So for this card, this is the measurements. So my card base is just a half a sheet of A4, which is cutting it at 4 1/8, so you end up with a long piece, and I've scored it at 5 7/8, so that gives me this long card. My card layer here is 5.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and the paper is 5.5 by 2 inches. So Belinda's crafting along. Yes, it's yeah, she's working fast because I've got everything pre-cut, but she says it's not a problem. She's made up the measurements and varying the colours and having fun. Having fun is the most important thing, and I really hope you're going to share your project, Belinda, so I will look forward to seeing those. It's really nice to see what somebody else makes as a spin-off for something they've seen me make. It's always really interesting, and I always get loads of ideas as well. So let me bring back my first card. Hopefully I've got enough width here that you can see both of them. I'm going to drink some tea just while you look at those. Pull them left just a little bit. There we are. So the same but different. And you could probably make a couple of dozen of these from just one sheet of that patterned paper. There are so many pansies on there that you can die cut. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to put all the die cut pieces together, because when I first looked at all those dies, I did have a bit of a sharp intake of breath and think, oh my goodness, where are they all going to go? So I have pre-cut, because watching somebody do die cutting is not very exciting. I have got a completed project that I'll show you afterwards. I'm not going to make this up into a project. I'm just going to make up all the pieces into a pansy. So let me try and put them in some kind of order for you. So these are not stamped, they are just die cut, although I have added a little bit of ink with my blending brush. which I can't find. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Put it in the wrong bucket. I put all the bits and pieces for different projects in their own buckets, but I put this in the wrong one. Okay. So I've die cut one of these, two of these, and I've just added a little bit of ink. These are Fresh Freesia card, and I've added a little bit of Fresh Freesia ink just to give a little bit of depth to those pieces. So I'm just going to do one of those now. I thought, gosh, I haven't used a blending brush, I don't think, all week on these Facebook Lives, so it was about time I brought it in. So I'm not trying to do this with any great accuracy, just to add a little bit of tone on tone effect. Now, of course, depending on the colours you're working with, you could certainly use a different colour to your card colour. You could have white card and then you could put pretty much any colour on it, or work with any other kinds of contrasts. If you Google Pansy images, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of variants of the colours. So, you know, really the sky is the limit. So I've got those three pieces there in one colour. Then I've got these outline pieces in a contrast. So again, I've gone for tone on tone. So I've cut these in Highland Heather, but I could have gone with any colour really. I'm just going to move those up a little bit. So then I also have this little piece and one of these tiny little pieces. So the die for this does cut out 3 at a time, and they're sort of teardrop shape. They're not circles. They're not really teardrops, but they're that sort of shape. They've got a little pointy side to them. And they are just the tiny little bit that fits in the centre of the flower. And then for my bud, I've used soft succulent card for that. Then I've cut this detailed piece in Highland Heather and this piece in Fresh Freesia. And again, I've added just a little bit of ink to the bottom of it. And then finally the leaves, and I've cut 2 of each of these. So 2 full leaves in soft succulent and 2 full leaves in, 2 leaf details in Evening Evergreen. Now most of the dies add a lot of detailed embossing, and if I hold this up, I'm hoping you'll be able to see the lines on that. So then it's not just cutting out flat shapes. So Mary's asking me, did I fussy cut the pansies from the DSP? I didn't, Mary. You could fussy cut them. They're not too difficult, but I actually used the dies. So the open dies, like that one, which just cut an outline shape. There are 2 of those. There's a large and a small, and they cut out all those pansies from that sheet, which is fabulous. I love having dies that cut out the patterned paper as well as cutting out other things like the stamped shapes. So there we are. So there's lots and lots of detailing on these. So I'm going to set the leaves aside and I'm going to set the bud aside, and I'm going to work on the large pansy flower. So first of all, I'm going to put the edging on them. This one's quite easy because you can see it just fits over the top like that. Now you could cut these out with adhesive sheet on the back. I didn't this time, but I probably would another time, just because it saves quite a lot of fussy gluing. And then this just sits on top of the cutout, so there's nothing difficult about lining it up. Got glue there, sorry Carol. There we are. There, so that's that first piece done. And then these 2 pieces are done in exactly the same way. The only thing about this is that until you've done a few, it takes a little bit of fiddling to work out where this actually fits. But it will fit. If you kind of slide it around and move it right and left, you will find that it fits exactly. So on the left hand side, it doesn't go right down to here. I need my scissors maybe to point that. So on this point here, this contrast doesn't go right down to there, but on the right hand side, it does go right down to here, like that. If that helps line it up. I don't know if it does. So again, these little edge pieces would be much easier with adhesive sheet on the back of them. Then I would just peel off the backing and they would be like stickers. There, so that will just fit exactly on top of the petals. And they're already starting to look a bit more interesting and a bit more like pansies. At least with the glue I can, there we go, I can slide these and get them in the right place. With the adhesive sheet you need to be a little bit more sure about where you're going. Right, I'm covered in glue, so I'm just going to wipe my fingers off. I've just seen some more comments. Carol says the first card was like a grumpy pansy, which is her favourite. Yes, I do know what you mean by a grumpy pansy, Carol. I'm glad you like them, Marjorie. I do think they're gorgeous. They're just, yeah, everything about this suite is beautiful. All right, and then what's going to happen is these two pieces are going to sit behind that other piece, and I don't really think it matters too much which one you put over the top of the other one, to be honest. So a little bit of glue on there. And then I'm just kind of playing around until it looks like it's in the right place, more or less. And then this one here. Now I just used plain card, I don't know if I said, but I could have actually stamped on card with the pansies and then die cut those shapes out. So these will work both ways, either with plain card, which you can ink or not ink as you like, or with the stamped images. So that's my basic flower put together. Then we have this little piece which goes in the middle, and I've cut this out of Highland Heather again, but I could have chosen a different contrast colour, and that just fits in there like that. And then this tiny little piece fits into the centre like that. So that's my pansy flower. So once you understand how it comes together, it's all very logical. It's not difficult at all. It's just a little bit of gluing. And you could die cut a whole load of these. Just keep sending through your die cutting machine all the dies on a whole variety of colours, and then just sit down and play and put different colours together. I think that would be a really fun thing to do. In fact, if it rains all day tomorrow, that might be what I'm doing. So that's the flower. The leaves are very simple and straightforward. The darker contrast, well, I've chosen a darker. You could have done it the other way with a lighter, or you could just actually choose to the same, cut to the same, and then you would just have the dimension without the colour contrast. That would be nice too. That just sits on top of the leaf like that. I'll do the other one as I've cut it. I used 2 on my completed card that I'll show you in a minute. Gillian saying gluing and faffing. Absolutely. Now I like gluing and faffing, Gillian. I don't know if you do. I know some people love fussy cutting and I'm one of them. Other people absolutely hate it. But I quite like that, particularly if it's a horrible day. So those are my leaves. And then I'm just going to put together this little bud here, which is just opening up. So a little bit of glue on the back, and this goes over the top of this one, and I don't actually think you have to be very exact at all with this. And then I've got the other one here. Oh, Gillian loves fussy cutting, just like me then, Gillian. There we go. And that sits on there and I've definitely got too much glue. I don't seem to have any glue control today at all. I wasn't this bad earlier in the week, so I don't know what's happened. So here we are then, and then obviously you can put these together however you like on your project. But they are really very, very pretty. Let me tuck that stem behind. I don't want to look at the end of the stem. There we are. So lots of pieces, but they do all come together in a very logical way. And then if I move those, I made a little note card. I used much more high contrast this time. I'm not even sure if I like these colours together, but I thought I would show you anyway. So I've used the, what are they called? New dies for my layer there. Scalloped contours dies for my layer here. These are beautiful. There are lots of dies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layering dies. They've all got detailing on them, decorative cuts that you can thread ribbon through, or different stitching detail or lacy detail around the edge. Plus this nice scalloped edge one, and then also these two which will cut out the images from the colour and contour stamps. So there we are, let me put those there. So that's how to put the pieces together if you just die cut or if you stamp and die cut. And then finally I just thought I would build up some of the stamped images and show you how they all work together as well. And I'm just going to have to get up and grab a piece of card. I forgot to cut one of these ready. I'm just going to, you probably can't see me, but I'm just going to cut a piece of card in half. Alright, so let me move those as well. I'll make those up into a card later on, or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. And then I'm going to bring in my stamping mat, put my card on top, and then just show you how the images build up. And then I do have a completed project which I'll show you as well. So the colours I'm going to use are Fresh Freesia, Highland Heather, Gorgeous Grape. Those are my purpley colours, and I also want Blackberry Bliss, which is over here, and Blackberry Bliss. And then for the leaves I'm going to use the New Greens, Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen. Alright, so first of all I'm going to work on the large pansy. So I've got the most solid of the stamps, and I've got my palest colour. Again, you can use all kinds of colours with these. Lots and lots of mixtures. So I'm going to stamp the image on its own, but then I'm going to also build up an actual flower here. So the next darkest colour is Highland Heather, and I'm going to bring in the large pansy, which is almost the same image, but it's got a little bit more detailing on it. So it looks like that. And then when I stamp it over the top, and I'm going to have to move this and get my head over the top. I'm not even sure I've got that. I still can't get my eyes to where they need to see. That's not too bad. There we go. So when I'm lining these up, you can hopefully see you've got these white lines, and both these two stamps have this white line, and that's what I've been lining up. You can see it fairly clearly because there's no ink on it at all. and then you can see that the other things do line up pretty well, but those 3 white lines I think are the easiest things to use to see where you're supposed to be putting your second stamp. So the next one I'm going to use is this one, which puts the little face in the middle, or part of the face I should say. We've got 2 parts to this on the large pansy. So I'm using Gorgeous Grey Pink for this. So that's what it looks like. And I don't know if you can see, if you look at these individual stamps, the stamp picks up different quantities of ink. So there is a lot of shading just within the stamp in that one colour. So this one then just kind of, and again I know I'm moving it because you can't see me actually stamping, but just to try and get it in the right place. That then sits into the middle like that. And then the final part of the little pansy face I'm going to do in Blackberry Bliss, and it's this little image here. Put that next to that one. Then I've got space underneath to do the small pansy as well. And again, I'm just going to move this and try and line this up. I think actually these can be far more approximate. They don't have to be as exact as you might want those 2 images to be. And then the smallest stamp in the world, I'm just going to pop right in the centre there. Just there. So that's my large pansy finished. Ooh, I haven't stamped that separately, have I? Let me just do that here. There we are. Just going to very quickly clean these stamps and get the worst of that Blackberry Bliss ink off them. There we are. So to make up the large pansy then you have 5 stamps and you have 4 to make up the small pansy. So I'll stamp that in a similar way. And I'm going to start with Fresh Freesia ink. So this is the solid one, and actually that image I think works on its own independently without anything else doing to it other than maybe something to go in the centre. But it is lovely when you add the shading. So now I'm going to bring in Gorgeous Grape with the small pansy detail stamp. Now that looks like that. So again, I'm lining up those white lines, or trying to. There we are. To add some detail. Then there's the little face. Like that. And again, I'm just going to lean over, pop that one in the middle. And it's the same teeny weeny stamp as we used on the large pansy to go right in the centre, and there's a little white space there just waiting for it. There we are. So that's the small pansy. Pull that down. I've pushed the other one out of view, haven't I? And I'll just quickly show you the leaves and the bud, which are much quicker to do. Are you buzzing with ideas for what you would do with these? Because I know I am. I keep thinking of all the different colours I could use. Just lovely. Okay, so for the bud then, there are 3 parts to this for the stamps. So there's that piece. I think I've got room here. And then there is a sort of a solid bell shape. And that really just needs to just nestle in there. You just don't want there to be a gap if you can avoid it. You don't want your flower to be kind of flying away from the greenery. And then finally there is some detail. Ooh, and I forgot to stamp that first stamp, didn't I? I'll come back and do that. And again, this is very easy to line up. Let me just stamp image number 2 so you've got all 3 of them. There we are. So that's the bud. And then I'll just show you the leaf. Actually, there are 2 leaves. I'll do both the leaves for you. Let's move down a bit. So that's the first one. So there's the solid part, and then there is the detail part. Again, I need to get right over the top of it to hopefully get that in the right place. That's what that detailed piece looks like. And then the other leaf is, I've just done it in the wrong colour, so I'm just going to clean that off. Okay, let's do it in the light one first. Or shall I do that along the bottom, I think? And then the detailing on it looks like that. And that's the completed leaf. So there we are. There are lots of stamps there, but you can hopefully see that they do build up in a fairly kind of logical way. So you end up with a large pansy, a small pansy, the bud, and 2 different leaves. So let me move all these very inky stamps out of the way. I'm also covered in Blackberry Bliss ink, no surprise there. So Belinda says it reminds her a bit of the poppy set and the hydrangeas. Yes, absolutely, yeah. Belinda loves being able to stamp, die cut from the DSP paper and make up die cut flowers all in one set. Yes, I do too, Belinda. I've only recently got the hydrangeas, but I'm absolutely loving them. And I agree with the poppy set as well. Very, very versatile. So now you've seen them all stamped, I'm just going to show you the last project of the day, which is a completed project. But this is what I did with some of the stamped pansies. I just made a little square card and matted my stamped layer onto the gingham side of the paper. And yet again added this lovely open weave ribbon. So there we are, that is all today's projects. Does anybody have any questions? And I will try and bring everything in to show you finally. If I can fit it all in here. Might be able to. Thank you, Gillian, I'm glad you like it. Waiting for my iPad to catch up. I won't get all of everything on, but hopefully I can see, you can see most of it. Just as a reminder, and of course you can go back and re-watch anything to see again how I made things. So there's a stamp set, there's dies, there's paper, and then there are the beautiful little bumblebees. I went through how to layer up all the stamping, so you can just stamp with the stamps. You can, of course, then die cut these images out if you want to with the dies. or you can die cut from the patterned paper, or you can die cut from card, or you can use just the paper to make a really pretty card. And I had to add a bumblebee because they're so cute. I did use obviously a sentiment from the stamp set there, but you could use something else from your stash. So I'm glad Belinda's loved them. Belinda's been doing hers in pinks. I shall really look forward to seeing those, Belinda. You're very welcome, Mary. I'm glad you've enjoyed the week. Very pleased. Thank you, Kay. I'm glad you like them too. Now I'm just going to turn the camera back up and say goodbye to you. Or I would if I could see where my post-it note had gone. There we go. All right, bear with me while it all goes blue. Because it's nice to say goodbye to you properly. Just alter those settings. I think that's, oops, that's everything. Post-it notes falling off. There we go. So it has been a really busy week, certainly for me. Most of you have joined me every day, which has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for spending so much of your week with me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the new goodies that I've been able to squeeze into 4 sessions. There are lots and lots more to discover, of course. And every week I'm here on a Friday at 2 o'clock playing along, and you can play along with me. I will tell you what I'm going to do next week when I've decided, but I haven't been able to decide yet. But watch this page because I'll pop an event up there and I'll tell you what I'll be actually doing. And if it's the kind of thing that you can craft along with, I usually put down there what you need to craft along, give you measurements and things like that. Sometimes I just say just have something there to craft with or to fussy cut so you can just enjoy what's happening. Let me just check the final comments. Thank you very much, Maureen. I'm glad you enjoyed them. And Belinda, you are welcome too. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you again next Friday, 2 o'clock. Bye-bye.